In the morning, the routine is that the kids wake up before he leaves, and then of course they run out on the driveway and blow kisses and tell him goodbye. It's just nice.
He leaves so early. He says, "Bye, Angel," and then I say, "Bye, Daddy." I do it like every morning, unless he leaves and I'm still sleeping.
That's a highlight of the day, to have the kids both walk me out the door, and because you may not see them until next morning. And so my daughter Mia actually was the one that forced that issue and made sure that I woke her up every day before I took off. And you know, during the football season, when you got 90-hour work weeks, there's a good chance you're not going to see them until the next morning. So that's a highlight. Typically speaking, it's a 90-hour work week. We won't have a day off from the latter part of July until hopefully Christmas, which is 2 days after the state championship game. And I think that's pretty typical for high school coaches in this state. But I've never worked a day in my life. You know, we love what we're doing every single day. And so the hours that you spend, even though they pile on top of one another, and certainly there's a toll with your family in regards to not having a chance to be around them very much, especially in the fall. When you are around them and they come to practice or come to games or whatever it is, it's always a highlight. And so it's a trade-off. I'd much rather work 90 hours a week in a job that I love than 40 hours a week in a job that I hate. You got 1,300 student athletes that are involved in sports at Martin High School. We've got 40+ coaches. And so anytime you've got that many humans that are involved, not to mention their families and the opponents and all those things, there's always something that's going on. No 2 days are ever exactly the same.
Martin High School, how can I help you?
Hey, Mary Ann, can you shoot me over to the maintenance, please?
Oh, okay. Hold on, let's see.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Who am I speaking with, please?
Steve Bates.
Hey, Steve, Bob Wager at Martin High School. How you doing? School starts at 7:30, but freshman football practice starts at 7. And so those guys are out there 6:45, you know, try to get out and be a part of freshman practice, at least to some extent. Although as the athletic coordinator, there's a lot of things that are happening during the day as well. I see a lot of games, see a lot of practices, but then try to build a relationship with as many of those kids as I can, regardless of whether they're football players or not, because you can't have rules without relationships. Morning, morning. Morning, guys. How are you? Greetings, nice to see you. Morning, baby. Morning, man. How we doing? Hey, JT, how you doing? We're doing better, JT. Morning, morning, Bat. How you doing? Morning, fellas. Greetings, DQ. We have to think in 4 hours. We got to do our job. We got to play with a relentless effort. And we must be great fundamentally. Can I get a yes, sir? Yes, sir. However, the basis of our optimism is our work ethic. We win in the weight room. We sell those kids on not just fitness as it pertains to their sport, but hopefully fitness that they'll carry with them for the rest of their lives. And I can speak to that for hours and hours, but unless they see our coaching staff live it, I don't know that it's as strong a selling point. The fact that we've got our entire coaching staff in there lifting and running with kids, it makes it very difficult for them to say, hey coach, I gotta go home at 3 o'clock and watch Oprah or whatever it is. You know, because if we can get in there every single day, they can get in there too. Yesterday it was Dillard and Trussell on the back side. Can somebody own those two and their blocking responsibilities, please? Who's free to do that? Thanks for those two. How about the front two? I need a front two guy too. It's simple. Here's my box with the center. If it's anywhere outside that box, the framework of my body, he becomes one, the next one becomes two. Most of the coaches that we have on our staff have gone from 1A to 2A to 3A to 6A together. You know, I've got guys on my staff that have been, we've been together for 12 and 13 years, and we're now getting to the point, having been at Martin for 9 years, where the hires that we make are former players. And so there's a great trust there. There's a tremendous loyalty there that I think is component number one. Right now, the way they're squeezing hard to the inside, we're better served. And they got one guy outside the hash by the time the ball comes down. There's lots of hours of video preparation. It's kind of like studying for a test. You know, by the time we get out there on Friday night, we got a pretty good idea of what's getting ready to happen. That's what being a coach is. You're really just you're just a part of the team, and we've all got a role. And I want to make sure that my role isn't the thing that lets our football team down. Don't let your eyes wander. Get your eyes on your work. Go, 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 go! Get rid of them, get rid of them. Fight. Good, here we go. Good, good. Fight through the stalk.
Get your foot down,
Fight through the stalk block. Come on, come off the ball, man. You gotta beat our opponent to the front. Oh, that's tasty. Stay out there. Good. So don't let them off the hook. Put them on the back. It's got to be high energy. It's got to be fast and up tempo. And the vast majority of our conditioning is built into practice, because if you're constantly transitioning the speed from one aspect of practice to the next, you're going to be in phenomenal physical condition. But once you actually get into that practice, the answer to everything is go faster. Practice goes from 3 to 5 typically, and then once we're done with practice, we come in, we watch the practice tape, break it down, and so typically, you know, Monday's a 9 o'clock day, Tuesday's a 9 o'clock day. Wednesday, we try to get home at least for 30 or 45 minutes and have dinner as a family, and then usually shoot back up there. Thursday night, you're home around midnight. Friday, 1 o'clock in the morning. You're back up there at 8 o'clock on Saturday. We usually get home on 6, and then Sunday we go in about 12:30. And depending on the opponent and how well you're playing, it might be 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. So one day turns into the next pretty quickly. It's sometimes difficult to realize what day it is.
I just cannot believe that he's able to keep it up and work 7 days a week. And, you know, he just loves it. He absolutely loves it, and he is just incredibly driven. When I see him wake up in the morning and sing and dance and, you know, jump around the room when he's working, you know, 80 to 90 hours a week, all these years he's loved it, and he could do anything. He would be successful at anything that he chose to do, and he chooses to do this because he just absolutely loves it.
High levels of emotion are contagious, and I think when you watch a football team play, they are a direct reflection of their coaches, because we're playing football in the hotbed of high school football in America, and you can't have a bad day at work, at our job, because if you don't, you're going to get beat and you're going to get embarrassed. And so 22 years down the road, I'm more in awe of Texas high school football now than I was the day I got here. We don't take the approach that this is a team, this is a family. And over the course of that 4-year period of time, you have an opportunity to build a relationship with them just like you would a brother or a son or a nephew. And And that's one thing that I love about being a high school football coach. There's so many crossroads that happen between the ages of 14 and 18. They drive for the very first time. They're probably involved in a relationship, aside from family, for the very first time. They may be exposed to drugs and alcohol and a lot of different traps that are out there. And I've always loved being able to build that relationship and then help guide them through some of the roadblocks that come up. And then obviously there's a tremendous number of positive things that happen during that time too, because really in that phase of life, you're creating habits, time management, how you balance the academic side of things and the athletic side of things, and then certainly the social side of things, that I really think, as I look back on my youth, those teenage years were critical in regards to setting me on a path, and to have an opportunity to now be a person that has input and has an opportunity to help guide them through that phase of life. It's a tremendous honor and a great responsibility. I grew up in Johnstown, New York. Johnstown at the time was really a leather mill was the biggest boost in the economy there. It's changed quite a bit since that time. My dad passed away when I was 3. My mom was the secretary of our church, but I can remember growing up, and the one rule that we had was we had to be home when the streetlights came on. So it really didn't matter what ball was in season. That was the ball that I was carrying around, and all of our buddies were carrying around too. Friday Night Lights was a bestseller. I'd heard about Texas high school football my whole life, and once I read the book, I didn't have anything to lose. I had a rusty old Jeep that I sold, bought a Suzuki Katana 600 motorcycle, and had about $500, and decided I was going to come down here and see if it was all what I'd heard it might be. I fell in love with the game of football. It was my first love, and at some point in every football player's lives, they take your helmet and shoulder pads away, and unlike a lot of sports, you don't get to go to the park on Saturday afternoon and check out a helmet and shoulder pads and go play football again. And it's gone forever. And I loved it so much that I wanted to be around it for the rest of my life. And certainly I love the competitive aspect of it. I love the intellectual stimulation of it. But the older I've gotten, the more I realize it's not about winning and losing football games. It's about having an opportunity to impact society and teach and mentor young people. And in the grand scheme of things, regardless of money, regardless of time, regardless of any of those things, at the end of the day, what I'm doing on a daily basis, it matters. It's important that I help those guys grow the right way. What drives me? Yeah, we're coaches because we're competitors. But the greatest driving force is the relationships that you're building with the kids. I don't want to let the team down. I don't want to let my staff down. I don't want to let our kids down. I don't want to let our student trainers down. I don't want to let the cafeteria workers down, because they care about what happens on Friday nights.
Bob just has a tremendous commitment to being here for his kids and our marriage and our family, because he didn't have his father, and it's just desperately important to him that he's around for the kids.
I want to be a cheerleader coach.
Wow, not just a cheerleader, a coach. Why a coach?
Because I can spend more time with my dad.
And Gage, of course, just idolizes his father. And they're very close. They're very similar. Gage looks very, very much like his father, and he has a lot of his characteristics. It's nice because he's a good mix. He has a lot of my personality traits, but then he's actually much more like his father.
If my son aspires to be like me, like I did my mom and my high school football coach, then I've got that responsibility to make sure that I carry myself in such a way that he can look up and be proud and say, that's the guy I want to be just like.
Do you have any idea what you want to do when you get big? What is that?
I want to be a football coach with Dad.
I can't change the oil in my car. I don't know how to switch out the hot water heater. I mean, I'm not much of a handyman, but having an opportunity to wake up and be excited about putting my socks on every single day because I'm passionate about helping kids grow into better people, it's the greatest opportunity I've ever had in my life.